Good morning and welcome to today's session of Imagine America Radio, our continuing Career College Exposition webinar series. My name is Lee Doubleday and I'm with the Imagine America Foundation. And today I'm excited to talk to you about our career topic, Automotive Technology, sponsored by Universal Technical Institute. Universal Technical Institute, or UTI, is this country's leading provider of high-quality, career-focused education at 12 locations nationwide. UTI is also a 20-year sponsor of the Imagine America Scholarship and Award programs, having provided admissions-based financial aid to more than 15,000 enrolling Imagine America students. Without taking valuable time from our presenter, let me refer any and all inquiries about Imagine America to our website, which is www.imagine-america.org. Or you can call myself, Lee Doubleday, at 571-267-3015. Automotive technology careers are some of the most popular programs in career colleges. Since our beginning in 1999, Imagine America remains a leading sponsor of scholarship aid to enrolling high school students. However, our country faces a serious shortage in certified automotive technicians. We hear from employers in virtually all sections of the country desperately looking for qualified technicians, so we need to do more. Our partner in today's presentation is Universal Technical Institute, or UTI. Joining us today to discuss in detail the looming automotive technician shortage and how UTI is helping meet this need is Dr. Stephen Coyle. Dr. Coyle is a nationally recognized expert in this area with an extensive K-12 background. Before turning the program over to Dr. Coyle, let me outline today's agenda. Today's session of Imagine America Radio will be 30 minutes maximum, with questions and answers at the end of this presentation. Once we finish these remarks, we'll move directly into today's presentation. So all participants can submit questions while the presentation is in session via the chat feature in this Zoom meeting, either in the top or the bottom of your screen, depending on how you're doing this call. And at the end of the presentation, or approximately 10:25 a.m., I will then present any of the questions offered by the participants. We will address as many questions as possible and provide written responses in follow-up emails along with the recorded version of this presentation. We'll have a hard close at 10:30 a.m. So without taking any more time out of today's presentation, let me turn today's session over to Dr. Stephen Coyle. Dr. Coyle, the floor is yours.
Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I know you're all busy in your virtual worlds now, as am I. It's definitely a different time than what we're used to, but I want to jump right into today's presentation. Today's agenda is threefold. We'll start first with challenges facing the workforce. We'll follow that up with opportunities in the automotive industry, and then finally, we'll finish up with Universal Technical Institute's career pathways. So, the challenges facing the industry today, we definitely have a changing workforce from the 20th century to the 21st century. In the 20th century, we were very much an agricultural, manufacturing-based economy. And as you can see, in the 21st century, that has changed dramatically. We have gone to almost a total service economy with a small amount with manufacturing. And of course, you have high tech figured in there as well. And you know, you can all attest to that. Everyone that's on this call, you know, if you own a house, if you own a car, if you own a washing machine, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's very difficult to find people that can work on things, let alone someone that's qualified to work on things. And you've all experienced that in your lives as well. So that's why, you know, the service portion of the economy is very vital today. You know, you've all even been in a restaurant before, and you walk up and they'll say, well, it'll be a 30-minute wait. And you look over and you see tables open. You go, well, why is there a 30-minute wait? But they don't have service for it. So anyway, that's where we are today with our changing workforce. A recent survey was conducted with 150,000 Boy Scouts. And these scouts were asked, how many of you would be interested in a skilled trades career? And as you can see on the chart, a whopping 3% said, yes, sign me up. This is exactly what I'm looking for. But then we asked the same students, the same Boy Scouts, how many of you would like a STEM career? And over 45% said, yes, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I want. There lies the disconnect. we do not see the connection between STEM and skilled trades when it's very real. We tend to think of STEM as a white collar type of a field, that they're the ones that are going to be used STEM, but not the blue collar. We think of skilled trades as blue collar. Well, they don't use STEM. Well, I bet you hope they do, because someone that's working on your car, they better be very versed in math and science. Someone that's building your house, I bet you hope they know how to read a yardstick or a ruler or a tape measure so that your house is square. So there's quite a disconnect. Unfortunately, that same disconnect exists with some educators today too. They don't see the connection between STEM and skilled trades. STEM versus non-STEM education. The STEM field is a fast-growing field. There's no doubt about it. I mean, and it continues to grow. I tell the story often of I spoke at an event where I followed an admiral from the Naval Academy, and he got up there and he spoke about, of course, the Naval Academy, which is a prestigious place, and he talked a lot about their programs and things. He talked a bunch about their STEM program, their very elite STEM program. Only the top 15% could even qualify to be in the STEM program that they offered, and how prestigious it was to be there. So when he finished, I walked up to him, introduced myself, and told him I thought he did a great job at the presentation. I said, but I just have to ask you, why only 15%? What I would want to ask you, or what I ask you, is that give me a field that doesn't use STEM. It's very difficult to find an occupation that does not use STEM in today's world. And he really couldn't answer. I said, I would rather you see that 85 or 90% of your students are in that STEM program, not 15%. So it definitely is a fast-growing field. The opportunity we have in this country is that, there's only about a fifth of the jobs in this country even require a bachelor's degree. And the other problem that we have here is that almost half of the college graduates we have walking around today either are in a career that they're not using their degree, or they're in a career where they didn't even need their degree. They could have done it without that degree. And that's pretty sad, because you think of the time, the energy, the money that they put into this, and it wasn't even necessary. Fewer and fewer careers require college degrees. Not putting down a college degree at all, but I'm just saying that we need to be smarter about deciding what kind of education that we really do need. I talk a lot about the old smart versus the new smart. The old smart was, get into the best college or school that you can. And then once you get there, then figure out what it is you want to do. And then if you do figure that out, then you walk out the front door with a degree in hand going, here I am, world, hire me. And we know today that just doesn't work any longer. It's getting into the prestigious schools and all that, that's not a guarantee of anything any longer. And you might even say, well, who even does that anymore? Well, if you've been paying attention to the news at all, we have quite an admissions scandal still going on with parents that tried to buy their students' way into the prestigious schools like USC or Stanford or places like that. Not saying there's anything wrong with that, but what's really sad is a lot of these students didn't even want to go to college in the first place, and yet they bought their way in, spending up to $500,000. So it still does exist today. Now, what is the new smart? It's a 180 from the old smart. The first thing we want to do is find out, what does the students want to do? I used to always say your passion can be your paycheck. I always like that little term, but then you have to think in terms of, what if they're not very good at their passion? So what I tend to say now is, what are you good at? Because when you're good at something, you tend to want to do it, and want to do it a lot, because you're successful with it. It makes you happy. It makes you proud. So that's what we need to find out from students. How many of you, what do you really want to do? I did a STEM workshop in Florida. It's been a few months ago. And I remember one teacher They brought their students in, and this one teacher, she came to me and she said, this one student back here, see him back in the back, I didn't even want to bring him today because he's a troublemaker. He doesn't pay attention. He just, he's not very good. But she said, look at him, because he was putting together a STEM kit that I had brought, and the smile on his face. And she said, look at that look on his face. And he was one of the first ones done. So we need to find out, what are students good at? What do they like to do? Then we need to find out, what kind of program do they need? Do they need a bachelor's degree? Do they need a master's degree? Do they need an associate's degree? Or do they just need competency-based credentials? That's what we have to figure out. And then when we figure that out for the student, then we suggest to them what school that they need to go to. The one thing I would submit to all of you is, get the word college out of your vocabulary. It's very, it pigeonholes kids just a little bit, because when you say college, they only think about colleges and universities. They don't think about trade schools. They don't think about, like cosmetology school or something like that. They wouldn't think of those things. So say post-secondary education, and that way you take in everything. And then finally, we need to remember that we need to get students in a position for employers to want them. Employers are looking for skills. What can you do for them? So that's why the New Smart is so important. The rule of 127. Many of you maybe have heard of that, but a lot of you probably haven't. The rule of 127 is very simple. For every 10 careers that are out there today, right now, only one requires an advanced degree, which would mean a master's degree or higher. 2 would require a bachelor's degree. 7 out of the 10 careers available right now only require a competency-based credential or an associate's degree. 7 out of 10. Yet we're pushing students into colleges and universities at a 70% clip. We're doing just exactly the opposite of what the economy is telling us they need. The opposite. And we think about, once again, what are employers looking for? They're looking for skills. What can you do? When you take your car to get it worked on, you don't walk over to the wall and see the little picture frames. You don't expect to see, wow, this guy's got a master's degree in brakes. No, what you're looking for is ASE certification, Automotive Service Excellence. That's what you're looking for. Can this guy fix my brakes, or this lady fix my brakes? And that's going to come in pretty handy when you come up to that stop sign. That's what we're looking for, competency-based credentials. Skilled trades require STEM, as I alluded to earlier. We have to show students that STEM is very important in skilled trades. We also have to drive home the fact that University for All does not work any longer. Your students are all built differently, and you need to recognize that. The students that need to go to college, yes, you definitely need them in the college and university, but you've got students that they don't want to go that route. They want to work on cars, they want to build houses, they want to weld, they want to plumb, they want to do these type of things. So we have to recognize that career readiness is important for all students, but we have to recognize that each one of their careers is important to them. So it should be important to us. And then finally, as I said earlier, competency-based credentials are what employers are looking for. What can you do for us? What can you do for me? Okay, the second part of the agenda today is opportunities in the automotive industry. Automotive industry is STEM, no doubt about it. These cars and trucks are rolling computers, and it's, the technology that are in these vehicles today. And I'm not just talking cars and trucks. I'm also talking about farm equipment, combines and tractors. We can go on and on. The blind spot indicators, the collision enhancers, the rain sensing windshield wipers, the backup cameras. These things are all technologies that not only are they nice to have, they're vital, really, because think of the number of lives the backup camera has probably saved. We all have seen or heard stories of someone backing over their own child, for heaven's sake. It's just awful to hear that. And with the backup cameras now, that we've eliminated a lot of that. And the blind spot indicators, you've all been caught on that one. I have too. Where'd that car come from? I was going to change lanes. There he is, you know. And with the blind spot indicator, we don't have that problem. You know, the voice activations that are in your vehicles, all these things. You know, in farm equipment, you know, you drive by a field, you see those rows of straight crops, you say, wow, that farmer he's really good, or like that. No, that farmer's got GPS. You know, that's what's helping them to plant the crops, type of thing too. But the question here is, who's going to work on these things? I recently read an article that farmers are looking for older equipment now because the technology and these new this new equipment, the new combines, the new tractors, all this farm equipment, they can't work on it themselves, and they can't find people to work on it. So they're trying to find older equipment that they can fix. And that's sad because all that technology is not being used. It'd be like going out and buying a new car and then just leave it in the garage. You know, we need to take advantage of things, but remember, we have to have people to work on this stuff. There's a growing demand in the transportation industry. 1.3 billion vehicles on the road worldwide, over 260 million of those here in the US alone. And that number continues to climb. And we're going to have over 1 million technician job openings by 2026. You know, in light of the pandemic that we're dealing with right now, one of the industries that was essential was the auto industry or the transportation industry. They did not shut down. And now they're screaming for techs more than ever. They're needing that has not gone away. It's only increased with this pandemic, and it's going to continue to do so. And then finally, the third part of the agenda is Universal Technical Institute's career pathways. You know, UTI, we are very much industry aligned. We don't teach the way many post-secondary schools teach. We very much align to the industry and what the industry is demanding. We do 3-week courses. We do one course at a time for 3 weeks. Once again, competency-based credentials, where we want students to master this competency so they can move on to the next one. That's how we build it. We start out with core training, then we move into advanced training. And then we also offer manufacturer paid training as well, where there's manufacturers out there that will actually pay for the students to get that education. And we offer both, you know, in class and labs, so that students get hands-on training. You know, you can put up a picture of a transmission and say, well, here's how you tear it down, here's how you rebuild it. But it means a whole lot when the student actually gets to do it. We help students to find their passion. You can't just come to UTI, you have to be invited. And so what we do is we interview each candidate along with their parents, and you say, well, how are you doing this now? We are actually doing it virtually because of the shutdowns that have taken place, but we've gone on and actually are interviewing students anyway. But what we do is we find out what are the students, what are they interested in? What do they want to do? And that's how we decide what program's good for them, or if any of the programs are good for them. We have campuses all over the country. In the Chicago area, we have campus at Lyle. Campus has been about, I think, 6 years now. Very, very modern facility. But we have campuses all over the country, so we can accommodate all far away to get to one of our facilities. We have over 35 industry relationships. You can see on the screen, BMW, GM, Ford, Peterbilt, Honda, Kawasaki. I mean, all of these guys, these are the big dogs in the industry. These are the ones that are hiring our students. As I say many times to educators, we're not preparing students for Jiffy Lube. We're preparing our students to go to work for these major manufacturers, because these manufacturers not only offer great careers, they also offer the benefits that these students deserve and the good salaries that they deserve too. So that's who we work with exclusively. Plus, that's where the industry need is at. As I said earlier, we have 12 campuses nationwide. We say we place 4 out of 5 of our graduates in their chosen field. Now, we don't count if they go to work for McDonald's. This means in their chosen field. And we have over 220,000 graduates in the field right now in our 55-year history, and that number, of course, continues to climb. We use a lot of our graduate success stories because students will listen to their peers. I can stand up there and tell them all about it, but if one of their friends does, it means a whole lot more. But also, we like to show these students that you see on here, they all have a smile on their face because they're doing what they love to do. But they'll all three tell you the same thing. They had to work hard. UTI is not easy. We don't want it to be. We want these students to have to work to get to where they are, but the payoffs are tremendous. We offer financial aid to those who qualify. We are Title IV funded, so therefore students can fill out a FAFSA. We also offer over $15 million in sponsored scholarships. We offer housing grants and institutional grants to help students to afford school. We offer third-party programs to help them with emergency expenses called LIFE. And then the fifth one that I skipped on purpose is our TRIP partnerships. TRIP stands for Tuition Reimbursement Incentive Program, and we have over 4,700 employers that take part in that. I don't know about you, but maybe you have the trick on how to get students to fill out scholarships, but it's difficult to get students to do that. With the TRIP program, it provides them funding at the end of their journey so that they have something to work towards. And that's why we think our graduation rates are going up so much because of this opportunity. But an employer will offer a package that you graduate from UTI, they will hire you, they'll pay you your salary, plus they will give you an extra $200, $300, or $400 that you can use towards your student loans, towards tools, towards relocation, whatever you want to use it for. And some of these programs are up to $25,000 and more. So it's needless to say, they need techs and they're willing to pay for them to get what they need there. We're here to help. We know what you do. I come from education. I know exactly what you guys do on a daily basis. We're trying to just partner with you. That's the word I love to use, is partner. We know the things that you're doing in there in your, on a daily basis with your students, and we want to partner with you on that. We offer presentations. These are all free of charge where we come into the schools, do it. We're now actually even doing virtual presentations. So if you would like to take part in that, please get in touch with me and I can help you get that set up. We also offer professional development. I do a lot of professional development across the country, and all of this is free. I used to have to set up professional development, so I know what that's like. So we're glad to work with your staff and to help with that, and we can help you, to get your CE credits and that kind of thing too. Follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, and YouTube. And then finally, this is my contact information, my phone number, my email address, and my Instagram account. Please feel free to reach out to me. I also have a new counselor mailbox. It's just counselors, plural, counselors at uti.edu. So please feel free to reach out to me. And if you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear from you. As I said, we're here to partner with you any way we can. Thank you so much for spending part of your morning with me, and good luck with the pandemic, and know that the light's at the end of the tunnel for all of us. Thank you.
And thanks, Dr. Coyle. Okay, great. So now I want to turn it over. I think we have a few minutes now for a couple of questions, and it looks like a few have actually come in on the chat feature there. There's a tab at the top or the bottom of your screen that says Q&A. You can type in a question there and send it to us. But I do have one that comes from a school counselor in the Chicago area that asks, if we wanted to talk to one of Universal Technical Institute's local reps, should we go to the Universal Technical Institute website, or should we contact you directly?
Well, you can do either one. If you go to the website, you can make an inquiry, and then that will be channeled to the rep. Or if you would prefer, you can contact me. You have my phone number, you have my email address. You also have the counselor email box as well. So please reach out to me, and I can make sure to get you in contact with the proper person for your area.
Okay, great. And we have one more question that has come in, and this one comes from a school counselor in Lisle. We get this question a lot, Dr. Coyle. It's asking about the comparisons with community colleges. So can you sort of touch on that a little bit, as how do you compare cost-wise and maybe curriculum-wise to a community college?
Sure. Yes. As you said, I get this question very often, and there's definitely, you need to look. Initially you look at it and say, wow, the community college is much cheaper than UTI. We don't deny that. Come to our campus and see what we do. You can do tours every day during the week, and you'll see why we are more expensive. But you have to look at the total picture. And at a community college, you're going to be in school at least 2 years, but more like probably 3 years. At UTI, you're going to be in school 10 to 17 months. So we get in, we get out, we get these students employed. And so there's when you start adding up the difference, while you're still in school at a community college, you're out working from UTI. The other thing, as I mentioned earlier, are the trip employers. That is a huge field leveler, because these employers, they offer our students a lot of great incentives, but they want our students because of the skill set that they have. And so when you add all that together, there's really very little cost difference between the two.
Yeah, good points. And I have another question that's come in from Rita Kuntz that asks, what are the requirements for enrollment? Are students required to take the ACT or SAT?
No, we do not require the ACT or SAT tests. What the requirements, that's what you have to have an in-home interview. Like I said earlier, you can't just come, you have to be invited. We sit down with the student and their parents, we go through the whole program. What we're more interested in is their work ethic, their attendance, those type of things. A lot of times we go off of recommendations from educators about a student. We know these students, they might have C, D, C, D, D, and then A. Well, those 3 A's are in their shop classes and those fields, because that's what they're good at. And so we look at all those things. We also we check their background as well, because if they have any problems, the industry won't hire them. So we're very cautious about that as well.
Yeah, good point and great question, Rita. So I have one other question that's about professional development. If I wanted to learn more about the professional development that you guys are offering right now, is there a website I should go to, or can I just contact you directly?
Yes, please contact me. You can do it at the either my email address that was on the slide there, scoyle@uti.edu, or I have my counselor's mailbox, which is just counselors@uti.edu. Make sure that's plural, counselors@uti.edu. And I would be glad to get you hooked up with some professional development, because like I said, we're doing a lot of it right now for educators across the country.
Yeah, I think it's great that you guys are doing that. Okay, so I think that that sort of brings us to a close for today's session of Imagine America Radio. I just want to mention a few things before leaving. Is that number one, we will be sending out a recording of this session to all of those who attended. So thank you very much for attending this session. We will also be placing this on our website, which is www.imagine-america.org. We will as well as sending out a survey. We like to receive your feedback on how we did today and what you thought about the presentation. So I will be sending out a quick survey. If you could just I think it's only 5 or 6 questions, and answer that for us, that would be much appreciated. And then the third thing is, Imagine America is still offering scholarships to students during this time. So please have your students apply for our scholarships off of our website, many of them going to Universal Technical Institute. So before closing, I just want to thank all of our participants for taking the time out of their very busy schedules to join us today. And I would also like to thank Dr. Coyle for sharing with us today's presentation, and encourage all of you to contact him directly with any future questions. So on behalf of the Imagine America Foundation and Dr. Coyle, thank you very much for joining us, and goodbye.